Hi everyone, this is Chiefnadia and this is a video about how to make tiny objects in Planet Zoo. And with tiny objects, I mean stuff like these. These are folders that I made. I put them on Reddit and on the workshop, and I had some people asking me how did I make them or if I could share some tips. So I decided to make a video about it. So the first tip I have is learn how to label your objects. There's two ways to label an object. You can either hard it, but you can also, when you click on it, add your own label. Mine is in Dutch, so I apologize if you cannot read it, but it says make a label and then make a new label. And then, for example, say tiny and then hit enter. Now the object has a label tiny. So once you made the label, go to your filters and then go to my filters and click on tiny, and it will show you all the tiny pieces that you have. I personally hearted all my tiny items. You can do both ways. I also have a lot of other items in here that I just tend to use a lot. And in that way, I have easy access to all of these items in the game. So here you can see me making a tiny folder. Excuse me. But what you need to remind yourself is that it takes a lot of practice to know the controls in this game. I won't go into depth about the controls in this video. There are many people that made wonderful videos about it. But what I can say is that when I just started out the Planet Coaster game, which is the previous game of the Planet series, I got frustrated a lot because I didn't know how to use the controls and I never invested any time in learning it because I just wanted to play the game so badly. But in order to play this game in the way, in a very advanced way, you just need to sit down and invest time in learning all these controls. Learning the Control X axis, changing axis, how to move things freely, how to snap, how to, basically stuff like that. So really invest your time into knowing these controls, practice a lot. It really takes you a couple days, but once you know, you will reap the benefits of it forever. So yeah, this could be like a new folder with like nothing on it. Maybe you can make your own drawing on it. But this is the same, this applies to everything. Like the way I created this map, I put in moss and I put in some abstract pieces, and you have to be a little bit creative here. Objects are more than what they are meant for. Like this moss, I mean, this moss is of course to put on grass or on hills or stuff like that. But I used it to be an area, to point out an area in the map where there's a lot of foresty areas, and it became like a little bit of a 3D map, which I really liked. And the art shapes, I just freely rotated them. So put angle snap off, and I just freely rotated them and see what looked well. So I would just, put them in and did like this and just rotated them until it looked good. And as soon as I found a good angle, I hit the change axis button, and now I can place it whenever I want it in this setting. This is a education board I made for the Habitat stuff pack that I made for the whole. I'm making like a whole build set to make a giant park with. It is not finished yet. But this is the Habitat pack, so it has its own walls, it has its own speaker covers and stuff like that. This is the education board that I made, and I also used a lot of art shapes and tiny pieces to give the illusion like there is text over here. I used several education boards. Just, let your imagination go. Don't get frustrated too soon. If you tend to get frustrated, just take a break, ask your community on how to make it, ask for advice, and take your time. You do not have to do anything fast in this game. the core value of this game is really taking your time into creating stuff. And yes, it takes a long time, but if you put in the work, it will eventually show, and it is way more worth it. Because in the end, you know, if you make one object like this, you will have it for the rest of your life, and you can use this object in all of your parks. And the more you make, if the more and the better your parks are going to be in the future. So it's really also investing a lot of your time into the future and to making better builds. One downside of making these objects is the piece count. Like this whole thing has 241 objects. I mean, it's kind of okay, but with these tiny pieces, because you need to wiggle them around a lot and make it work, and add even more and more and more, it could be that the piece count will go up drastically. And of course, that will make your computer work very hard, or harder than it used to be. One tip I have for you is to avoid as much as possible the climbable objects. See, this is like a tiny, this is not tiny at all. What are you doing? But for example, if you use these a lot, which are climbable, your computer will analyze them constantly because they're climbable. It just works like that. And it will, like, it can really mess with your frame rate and the way your computer processes it all. So avoid climbable objects as much as possible when you make stuff that is not really meant to be climbed. Another tip I have for that is, of course, again, label your stuff. I still need to label everything. It's sad that Planet Zoo didn't add a not climbable option in properties, but you can make that yourself. You can like take an object that looks like it's climbable, but it is not, and label it like new label, non-climbable. Ta-ta. Well, that sums up this video. I hope I could help you guys out a little bit. I highly suggest you watch Paulsley's videos on how to use the controls and everything like that. He has excellent videos about it, and there's also no need for me to explain anything again when somebody explained it so perfectly. But I hope I could at least helped you with some of my own tips into labeling and using the stuff, and etc, etc. If you would like to know more about my builds and how I make them, I stream my builds on twitch.tv/Chiefnadia, so go over there and follow me if you want to know more and see more on how I build my stuff. Hope I could be of any help, and see you next time. Bye.